I'm Naveen Day. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we have lined up for you tonight. Canadian authorities are heading to the Caribbean to investigate the landing of a WestJet flight from Toronto that sent 3 people to the hospital. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is accusing the Prime Minister of flip-flopping following the announcements that the EV sales mandate is paused for a year. And a Lethbridge youth charged with allegedly stabbing his 7-year-old brother had his first day in court. BCN's Landon Hickok has the details. Thanks so much for joining us. Prime Minister Mark Carney and his ministers are explaining how they plan to divvy up a new $5 billion pie. Last week, Carney announced a new fund to help Canadian industries affected by U.S. tariffs. And while the division of the $5 billion still needs to be negotiated, Industry Minister Melanie Joly says the aluminum sector will likely receive hundreds of millions of dollars. Joly addressed the question as to why Canada will not be reciprocating the tariff amount on aluminum and steel. Canada has tariffed the U.S. by 25%, but the U.S. has placed 50% tariffs on Canada.
It's a fair question, and for us, we want to continue to negotiate with the U.S. on a deal on steel and aluminum. We need to learn from this. We cannot just stay idle saying to ourselves that we will only try to negotiate without working on our own economic resilience and on what we can control. And that's why the suite of measures we're announcing today, from the Strategic Response Fund of $5 billion to the Buy Canadian policy to the support to SMEs, all that, it is important that we do so, because at the end of the day, we will be able to work on us and work on our own market.
Today in St. John's, Newfoundland, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced $80 million from this new fund will be going to businesses in Atlantic Canada.
And this money will flow through the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency. We'll fund small and medium-sized businesses across the region, help them not just to invest, not just to endure, but to thrive. It'll be important for that ocean economy. More than half of that $30 billion ocean economy is right here in Atlantic Canada. In all, this region's a giant in fishing, manufacturing, forestry, IT, energy, shipbuilding. And its overseas trade corridors sitting here in St. John's Harbour connect Canada with the rest of the world.
Carney says the funding will give Atlantic Canadian industries the tools they need to innovate, to modernize, and to expand operations and customer bases around the world. The Prime Minister's parliamentary secretary is in Beijing pushing back against canola tariffs. Cody Blois is with Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe on a trade mission to China after Beijing hit Canadian canola seed with a nearly 76% tariff last month. The move was widely seen as a response to Canada's 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. The Prime Minister is hitting the pause button on the electric vehicle sales target for 2026 models and launching a review to determine what other changes to make to the policy. At a Friday press conference, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said the delay will only hurt investments as auto manufacturers wait to see if Carney scraps the policy entirely.
Today he's flip-flopped. After being a passionate advocate for banning gas-powered vehicles, calling for them to be banned by 2030 in his book, Values, which, by the way, was much more aggressive than Trudeau's plan, to ban them in 2035, he's finally admitted that the Conservatives were right, just like we were right on the carbon tax. But he's doing a clumsy retreat, saying that he's going to delay this mandate. So now, businesses who would otherwise consider investing in automaking here in Canada will have to put that investment on hold while Mark Carney dithers for another year to try and figure out how he can ban people from putting gas and diesel in their trucks and cars. Mark Carney can't even get his flip-flops right.
The Transportation Safety Board of Canada says it is sending a team of investigators to the Caribbean island of St. Martin to investigate the rough landing of a WestJet plane yesterday. The Safety Board says it will gather information and assess what happened to Flight 2276 from Toronto that experienced a hard landing upon arrival at Princess Juliana International Airport at around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday. The airport said in a statement Sunday that 164 people were on board the WestJet Boeing 737-800, and 3 of them were taken for medical assessment after a safe evacuation. Jets landing at the St. Martin Airport must fly just a few hundred feet over a public beach to hit the runway. Videos of these landings can be seen on YouTube and social media. Quite a sight to see if you've been there. Air Canada flight attendants have rejected the latest contract offer presented by the company. According to the Canadian Union of Public Employees, participants voted 99.1% against the contract offer, with 94% of members taking part in the vote. The tentative deal included a 12% wage hike for flight attendants with 5 years or less experience and an immediate 8% increase for more experienced staff. The proposal also offered Air Canada flight attendants 50% of their regular wages for 1 hour of work done before takeoff, partly addressing QP's claims of unpaid work. In a September 6th press release, the airline said it and QP anticipated this potential outcome, and both parties mutually agreed that if the tentative agreement was not ratified, the wage portion would be referred to mediation. The parties also agreed that no labor disruption could be initiated. The company has said mediation will continue for the arbitration process. The community of Lethbridge is still asking questions after police revealed details last week of a local youth reportedly attempting to murder his 7-year-old brother. The 12-year-old boy from a Northside household can't be named due to his age. He stood before the Lethbridge Court of Justice virtually for his first hearing today, where he remains in custody in Calgary. BCN's Landon Hickok has the update.
The 12-year-old, who has been accused of attempted murder and aggravated assault on his younger brother, has made his first court appearance virtually to the Lethbridge Courthouse on Monday morning. Now, police on August 27th responded to a report where a 7-year-old was stabbed on the Northside residence after his father called 911. The 12-year-old brother claimed that an unknown intruder entered the residence and stabbed his brother repeatedly. He was found in medical distress and transported to the Chinook Regional Hospital in Now City before being airlifted to Edmonton Stollery Children's Hospital. Early on in the investigation, police were quick to determine there was no further safety risk to the public, but they were quick to turn on the 12-year-old boy as the suspect after collecting a knife as evidence. They also determined that the 12-year-old boy lied to investigators about the intruder coming in and determined that he was the one who stabbed his brother repeatedly and believed he killed him in the process. The 12-year-old suspect, who cannot be named under terms of the Youth Criminal Justice Act, has been assessed a psychiatric, psychological, and risk assessment from the judge this morning to determine if any psychological disorder played any part, as well as if continued detention at this stage is appropriate. The 7-year-old remains in hospital but under stable condition. His older brother, however, will have to wait until October 7th for his next court date appearance at the Lethbridge Courthouse. As the investigation continues, Lethbridge Police Service say no other information will be released at this time. For Bridge City News, I'm Landon Hickok.
French President Emmanuel Macron finds himself in big political trouble. Prime Minister François Bayrou called for a confidence vote on his economic plan today and was voted out of office. Bayrou was appointed by Macron in December. He gambled that lawmakers would back his view that France must slash public spending to repair its debts. The debt is currently equal to 114% of the country's economy. Instead, 2/3 of the legislators ganged up on Bayrou and voted him out. Some are also calling for Macron to resign as well. A shooting at a Jerusalem bus stop has left 6 people dead as tensions remain high in Gaza. Reports say Palestinian gunmen pulled up to a bus stop and opened fire. We get more now from Julia Frankel with the Associated Press.
Paramedics say that several people have been killed and at least 15 others injured after a shooting attack in North Jerusalem. Police said that the 2 attackers were shot down shortly after the attack began at a busy intersection on a road leading to Israeli settlements in East Jerusalem. Police did not immediately say what the identity of the attackers was. This all comes as tensions ratchet up in Gaza, with Israel signaling that it will press forward in its offensive on Gaza City. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, threatened more high-rise buildings after an Israeli strike toppled a high-rise on Sunday and on Friday. Palestinians in the city are scared and sheltering, unsure if they will leave because they're not clear if there's space in the south for them to go, and it's quite costly to evacuate.
Israeli media identified the dead as 5 men between the ages of 25 and 79 and a 60-year-old woman. There was no immediate claim from any armed groups, although Hamas has praised the attack. Canadian multinational company Nutrien has signed a deal to sell its 50% stake in an Argentina-based nitrogen producer for $600 million US. The world's largest potash producer says its share of Profertil will go to Adeco Agro SA and the Argentinian Association of Cooperatives. Nutrien Chief Executive Ken Seitz says the deal advances the company's strategy to focus on assets and geographies which are core to its long-term vision. The sale is expected to be completed before the end of the year. The Lethbridge Firefighters Association is concerned about the rising issue of violence against firefighter paramedics while on duty and are calling for stronger protections. The president of the Lethbridge Firefighters Association, Brent Nunweiler, says action is needed because firefighter paramedics must be able to respond to emergencies without the fear for their own safety. He also says this is not a new issue.
We are seeing an increase of both physical and verbal abuse and assaults on our membership. And we felt it was in our best interest to speak up. When our members' lives are at risk, it takes away from our ability to provide life-saving care to our community. So this is more of a community issue and a firefighter safety issue. Everyone is at risk with this. When we're on scene, we're there to help the public. If we're having to defend ourselves, that draws us away from being able to provide that critical life-saving interventions that everyone requires and expects us to provide. So by bringing awareness to this, hopefully the community can understand that we're there to help them. We're actually urging federal government to make changes to the legislation to amend the criminal code. So this will deter violence towards our members. It'll come with harsher penalties with improved legislation. We were close with Bill C-321, and it would be amending the criminal code, which would cause harsher penalties for those who have violent acts towards first responders.
Violence against first responders is a serious thing that we ask the public to treat our people with the utmost respect. Verbal abuse and violence, our men and women face that on an all too often basis. All sorts of scenarios. People, when they're dealing with stress, react differently, whether they're the patient and or the loved one. The one thing I can tell you is certainly our violence has been trending down here in the city of Lethbridge, but I know the IFF, when they were speaking to this, they wanted to talk on a national level just about violence against first responders is something we all need to be aware of.
The union is urging the Government of Canada to pass legislation amending the Criminal Code of Canada to establish meaningful penalties for assaults on first responders. Lethbridge first responders are helping save lives in a different way. They are partnering with Canadian Blood Services to launch Sirens for Life. Starting this Monday and running through December, the community will be encouraged to donate plasma at the Lethbridge Donor Centre. The police chief says first responders are leading by example.
Giving blood or plasma is something you never think about until somebody you love needs it, or yourself even. That's why I like to always donate, so I can help my fellow citizens. And the person who needs it could be someone close to me, and even if it's somebody who I don't know, I still care to help others. And this is something that's very easy to do, doesn't take much time. This competition actually is great because we are hoping it brings more of our employees out to try this. So this is amazing that police and fire can partner, have a friendly competition to provide this critical service to the community.
Well, here in Lethbridge, on any given day, we need anywhere from 70 to 100 donors every day of the week. It's not just about saving lives, but it's actually the difference that you're making and the impact that you're making in the community. We do know that over the next 5 years, the demand for plasma is doubling. So Our goal is to bring in at least 1 million new donors across Canada. We just can't keep relying on the same 2% of the population to support plasma donations. If you're healthy and willing to donate, we're really encouraging you to take that time, bring a friend to donate. We really need more support, and we're hoping that we can increase the number of people in the community to join us.
I love the signs that they're holding up. The National Sirens for Life campaign highlights the impact of every donation. 50 donors can help save one crash victim. 130 plasma donations can provide 1 year of treatment for an immune deficiency patient, and 5 donors can support a heart surgery patient. Indigenous performer Michelle Thrush says the power of film is bringing light to dark places, and that's what she hopes can be accomplished in the 60 Scoop drama Meadowlarks. The family drama, directed by University of Alberta Associate Professor Tasha Hubbard, made its world premiere Sunday at the Toronto International Film Festival. Thrush says participating in the production bridged a connection with her co-stars who play her siblings.
The absolute beauty of this project is the connection between the 4 of us. Playing siblings, because I have so much love for each of these actors in real life. And I think that came across in bringing these characters alive, and the loss of all those years. As you know, the characters as siblings, they lost so many years together.